Good morning, everybody who's watching. Excuse me. Let's see who is gonna show up today. How many people will be here? Not many yet. Oh, I got a few people now. That's good. Morning, folks. We'll get started in a few minutes. Good morning. Still waking up today. It's taking me a couple hours to wake up. This time in my last class, I didn't sleep very well last night. I was up late. I was skateboarding last night, and then I got home a little bit later, and because my I guess my heart rate was up because I was like skateboarding and being active. I wasn't tired, so I just stayed up. Yeah, when I was younger, I was also telling this to my last class. When I was younger, like around your age, I used to love staying up late. I could easily, stay up till like 4 in the morning and get just a couple hours of sleep, and then I'd be fine the next day. But now, even if I get 6 or 7 hours, I'm really tired. I need my full 8 hours. I don't know what happened to me. I guess I got old. I'm not that old though. I like to think I'm young still. Okay. So there's just 8 of us. I think we'll get started anyways. So what I'm gonna do today? So last class we did actually finish the material for this class. We're gonna do something a little bit different today. We're gonna go over the topics of the year. So I'm gonna give you a nice list of topics. This should help you with your topic map if you haven't been able to come up with 10 topics from the year so far. This could also help you with your project. I'm hoping that you found 2 topics for your project to make a connection with. So that's what we'll do today. Goose is just right over there. She's taking a nap on the records. I don't know if you can see her. Kind of small. Oh, geez, excuse me. Oh boy, oh boy. All right, so let's get started. So I'm just gonna list off some of the topics. I was also telling my grade 9s that they can expect a document sometime very soon, hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow. But we'll see. We'll see. It may have to wait until early next week. But the purpose of the document that I'm going to release, this document is intended to give you an idea of the big pictures of the year. So what that means is I've been looking very carefully at our grade 10 advanced curriculum. And what I'll be doing is I'll be boiling it down to the big ideas from the year. Because, you know, we've had some emphasis on certain topics, and that's not a good way of putting it. We've had more emphasis on some topics than others, just due to the pandemic and the way we've been teaching, and I've had to sort of go over some topics a little more quickly than others. So what I want to do is I want to sort of boil all that down into one document that sort of describes what we did, how thoroughly we did it, and that kind of thing. So I'll talk more about that maybe at the end of the class. I showed my grade 9s the grade 11 version earlier today, so maybe I can do that for you as well. I'll show you the document that I made for the grade 11s. I've made one of the documents so far. Yeah, I'll give you a quick overview of what that document looks like. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see here. So the first big topic that I want to talk about is so linear and quadratic relations. Okay, so this is like the bulk. This is like the big topic of grade 10 advanced. So this is our big kahuna here. So the first one is visual patterns. Visual patterns. Okay, so this is what we started off the year on. Like the first week or so, we really dove deep into these visual patterns. And those are, I think, here, why don't I just show you what I'm talking about. So if we go all the way back to the very beginning of the year, I think I still have these. Oh no, I guess I don't have them here. Oh well, I think that's okay. Yeah, it's too bad, because I had some good ones. Anyway, the visual patterns are where you would have like something like this, or you'd have like one square, and then you'd have, you know, something like this, right? And then you'd have something like this, right? You see what I'm doing here? So you'd have some kind of pattern like this, and then you're saying, okay, well, what pattern comes next? How many blocks is it going to use? Like what is the pattern? So that's visual patterns, and that was the first big thing that we did. And the cool thing about visual patterns is that you can use these patterns to describe all sorts of different things in math. So that was our first big topic. Okay, next big topic was factoring. Okay, so we got visual patterns, we had factoring, and I'll say just like factoring quadratics. I think that this we started doing right around the beginning of the remote learning. So factoring quadratics, so we had things like, oh my gosh, factoring, you know, ax squared plus bx plus c. We had factoring perfect squares. We had factoring difference, a difference of squares, right? We had all that fun stuff. So that was a really good one. And then we had graphing quadratics. Okay, so graphing quadratics was a big one. So looking at functions of the form a times x minus p squared plus q, right? Like that's vertex form. That's the form of a quadratic in vertex form so that you can graph it very easily. So looking at, yeah, like I said, the vertex, the stretch, right? The x-intercept, the axis of symmetry, right? All that fun stuff. So yeah, that was a big topic, doing a lot of graphing and that kind of fun stuff. And then of course like problem solving. That's a good one. And then part of the graphing quadratics as well, and this just came up very briefly in our assignment, but is the idea of kinematics. So looking at, this was like the skateboarder question. Ideally in a normal year we would have looked at kinematics in a little more detail, but some things we had to make some compromises. Okay, another big one was systems of equations. Okay, so we did a lot of stuff with systems of equations, and that looked at we had linear and linear. We had linear and that's supposed to be an A. Linear and quadratic. And then we had quadratic and quadratic, right? So looking at a linear and linear is something like this, right? We've got one solution like that. A linear and quadratic is something that looks like that, right? We've got two intersections, and then quadratic and quadratic looks something like that, right? So we looked at all those situations. We looked at looking at the graphical way. I'll say graphical solution. Solution. We looked at the graphical solution, so graphing them and finding the solution that way, and then also algebraic solutions, right? So those were some of the methods that we used to solve these things. Okay. Yeah, and then we had inequalities as well. Right? I don't really want to talk about like the subpoints of inequalities. That's just where we had something like this where we had all the points that are less than a line, right? Something like that. That would be what an inequality is. Yeah, and we had quadratic inequalities as well. So maybe I'll say like linear and quadratic inequalities, right? That was a big part of it. And then I think that was pretty much it for linear and quadratic relations. So that's a pretty big one. Another big one that we talked about is polynomial functions. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess it wasn't like that big of a topic. We kind of just talked about it for about a week. That's kind of what the last thing that we talked about. Let's see. Something's wrong with my mouse. It's not working properly. Yeah, so looking at the roots of a polynomial. Looking at the end behavior of the polynomial. So what else did we do? Yeah, and looking at odd and even degrees. Right, that's kind of just you know, just a general overview of some of the things that we did. Yeah, we didn't do matrices, which is fine. And then here we go. Geometric. Actually, what I'll do is I'll call this one sequences and series. Okay, so we looked at analyzing sequences and series. I should say arithmetic and geometric sequences and series. Okay, so that involved you know, deriving formulae for, I can't spell today because I'm so tired. Formulae. What else did we do? Yeah, and also you know, calculating. Why can't I spell calculating sums, i.e. series, right? And then also part of this was analyzing, I really can't spell today, analyzing exponential functions. So we did this just a little bit. We kind of just touched on exponential functions. We also looked a little bit at the log function, but we really didn't, like, I would not put that on here. It's not on our curriculum, but I thought it was kind of fun to play around with the logarithm function, and yeah, so we did that. We also covered the a little bit of trigonometry. And really all we did there was the sine law and cosine law. And yeah, that was pretty much, that's the main topic, is looking at the sine law and the cosine law. Looking at the ambiguous case as well, ambiguous case, right? So yeah, sine law, cosine law, ambiguous case. I think that's the gist of it. So those are the main topics of the year. Like that makes the majority of pretty much everything that we did. Yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna write for our topics. So certainly there's more than 10 topics here. I mean, if you're thinking of your topic map, it doesn't have to be a big thing like, oh, factoring quadratics. It could be like, you know, factoring perfect squares or interpreting the x-intercepts of a quadratic, right? You don't have to go super big with the topic map, so that you can be very specific with your topics. So just to give you an idea about that document, I'll show you that document now. Let me just pull it up here. Yeah, so this is the grade 11 document, and the formatting is all weird. Like, I don't know why it's doing this sort of thing. You're not supposed to be able to do that. But anyway, this is the document that I was talking about. So really what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the big ideas for the year, and talk a little bit about the skills that I expect you to be able to have. So that means, come on, there we go. So yeah, here are, like, this would be the big idea here. And then these would be the skills. So this one is actually something that's pretty much exactly going to be the same as yours. This class is very similar to your class. Yeah, see, my mouse it's not scrolling. Something is weird with this. Just doesn't want to scroll. I think there's cat hair in here, which messes up anyway. Yeah, so the way this is going to work is that you'll have the big idea here. You'll have just a list of skills that you'll be expected to be able to do, and then you'll have level 1, level 2, and level 3 types of questions for you to sort of test yourself to see, like, did I really understand this topic? So so this is not like an assignment. It's not going to be like worth marks or anything. I'm not going to expect you to hand this in. This is me just going, I'm just giving it to you, and you will also your teacher next year will have access to this document as well. So this would kind of be like, these are my expectations for the class. So it's not like a final exam in that it's not like you're going to be graded on this, but it's kind of like a final exam because like I could look at the final exam from last year, and it would give me an indication of the types of skills that I could expect some of my students to have, right? So kind of as an assessment tool, it almost is like a final exam in that you can, like, your teacher next year can look at this and be like, okay, so this is what Mr. Bennett covered last year, right? And yeah, so that's kind of the purpose of this document. It's almost like it's kind of like an accountability piece. Like this, yeah, this is documented. This is what we did in the year. So yeah, that's the whole purpose of this document, is to be able to look at it and say, yeah, these are the topics that we covered. These are the levels of questions that, like, if, you know, the level 1 questions, I really would hope that everyone can do the level 1 questions. The level 2 questions are like maybe a little more challenging and something that takes a little more work, and you would have had to really think about it. Whereas the level 3 questions, are like quite a bit more challenging. And like if you really are like an expert at this, then you should be able to do the level 3 questions. But basically, I do expect everyone to be able to do level 1 questions. I hope that some of you would be able to do most of the level 2 questions. The level 3 questions, you know, it would be kind of like if you're getting like a 90 or something in this class, a 90 or higher, then you should be able to do the level 3 questions too. So, you know, not everyone gets you know, a grade of 90 or higher. But if you are getting 90s, then these are the types of questions that I expect you to be able to do, right? So, so yeah, that is the document that I'll be creating. I'm hoping I can have this done by tomorrow. But even if I do finish it, it does need to be approved. So, and look how nice that is. You can, all the headings are right there, which is kind of fancy. So I can, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, you can expect that at some point very soon. I'm gonna go. I think, yeah, we're gonna end a little bit early, which I think is okay. One thing, just to let you know, you may have noticed radicals is not on this list. Radicals. So radicals is kind of, it's been an extra topic that we did, and that was kind of my fault. I spoke to some other math teachers about it. I don't think it's actually that big a deal. But radicals is not actually, like we spent about a month's time on radicals. Total blunder on my part. When I was reading the grade 10 advanced curriculum, I actually accidentally was reading part of the grade 11 advanced curriculum, in which radicals is a big topic. So we covered radicals. It's not actually on your curriculum. So you're not actually expected to know radicals. But, and why can't I spell today? Radicals. So yeah, radicals was kind of a bonus topic. So you can still write about radicals on your, like, in your project if you want. You could write about radicals in your topic map. That's totally fine. But you are not expected to be, you know, experts in radicals for this year. So just keep that in mind. That was kind of a bonus topic. Totally my fault. Like I said, this is the first time I've taught this class, and it's a completely different curriculum. So I'm still familiarizing myself with it. So I did make a mistake this year by teaching you about radicals, but I think it's a good mistake to make. I mean, I can certainly think of a lot worse mistakes to make. Not to try to like excuse myself, but yeah, I think that I thought it was a good topic, and I thought it was pretty fun. But yeah, we're supposed to save that one for grade 11 advanced. So you'll have a bit of a leg up next year, because you'll be doing radicals again, and you guys will already be good at it. So I think that's a bonus. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I know a few of you are still sort of struggling for topics. So one of you asked me for a suggestion for a topic, and I mentioned that you could draw the connection between the discriminant and the number of solutions in a system of equations. Okay, so what I was saying by that, like the discriminant is like b squared, it's actually, you don't include the square root. It's b squared minus 4ac. And if you have, if this is greater than 0, then you have two solutions. Look, that's how I'm spelling solutions. OS. I need more sleep. Solutions. Two solutions. If it's equal to 0, you have one solution. And if it's less than 0, you have 0 solutions. Right? So those are the three different possibilities. Right? And this is in the quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Right? So that's what the discriminant tells us, is that it tells us how many solutions you have in a quadratic equation. But in a system of equations, right, if you have like one linear equation and then one quadratic equation, you could have two solutions, you could have one solution, or you could have 0 solutions, right? So the idea here is that if I have a quadratic equation, like I keep doing that, a times x squared plus bx plus c equals, I don't know, 0, and then I have another like y equals mx plus b. Well, what I'm talking about here, or actually I should say this is equal to y. Well, what I'm talking about here is, well, what we can do is set this up using the substitution method. So bx plus c is equal to mx plus b. Right? So this y equals mx plus b would correspond to one of these linear equations, right? We're not really sure which one. And then the quadratic equation would be the parabola here, right? So setting them equal, since they would share the same y, well now this is just a quadratic equation, and we can set this whole thing equal to 0. So we would get ax squared plus b minus m times x plus c minus b, okay? And then this is your new quadratic equation, and you can use this, so find the discriminant of this. So the discriminant of that equation is going to tell you how many solutions you have in your system of equations. So that would be a great topic to cover if you're struggling, is looking at the connection between the discriminant and then this number of solutions between a system of equations that has a quadratic equation and a linear equation, because you can sort of combine them into just one quadratic equation and then use that to calculate your new discriminant with your new values. So it's an idea. If you want to do this idea and you think it's kind of interesting, I would spend some time trying to think about it, trying to solve a few questions. Maybe just, I mean, the questions are straightforward to come up with. Just make yourself a quadratic equation, make yourself a linear equation, and then try to find the number of solutions. You can use Desmos to verify your solution. You can even use Desmos to make your own equation so that you know that the solution is going to be nice. You know, you can keep tweaking the numbers until you get nice whole number or integer values. But yeah, I would suggest spending some time with it. And if you really want to do this topic and you're still kind of struggling with it, then you could ask me for a little more help and some clarification. So the idea of this topic is looking at the discriminant and system of equations. Okay, so yeah, it's just an idea. I mean, there's so many different topics that you could choose from in this class, and drawing connections between them, and that sort of thing. So yeah, sweet. I'm gonna go, and I will talk to you guys on Monday of next week. I believe that is June 8th. Yeah. So take care, guys. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you have a good weekend. And I'll talk to you guys on Monday. Bye-bye.